Who is that?
What is he doing here?
Stop right there.
One moment, sir. I need to get my manager. Take your time.
Sir, may I ask where you got this? Get out! Get out before I have you arrested!
Sir.
In the middle of a crowded lunch hour at one of the most prestigious banks in New York City, a man in dusty work clothes set a $10 million check on the counter. The branch manager froze. Oh, not because of the number, because of the man holding it. Oh, within minutes, security was called. Fraud was shouted across the marble floor, and in front of everyone, that check was torn in half and thrown at his chest. Oh, nobody said a word. Oh, then the front door opened. The manager's boss walked in, took one look at the man in the work boots, and said a single word. Oh, sir. Oh, before we go any further, if you're new here, welcome. This channel tells stories that stay with you long after they're over. So stay with me, because you are going to want to see how this one ends. Oh, now let's get back to what happened next. Oh. Sterling and Wexford Bank sat on the corner of Park Avenue and 54th like a monument built by people who wanted you to feel small. Marble floors polished to a mirror, brass fixtures catching the light. Oh, chandeliers hanging from a ceiling so high your voice disappeared before it ever reached it. At 12:30 on a Tuesday, the lobby hummed with the quiet business of the very rich. Men in tailored suits checking their portfolios. Oh, women with handbags worth more than a car, sliding checks across the counter that most people would never see in a lifetime. Oh. Then the front door opened and a man walked in, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop a few degrees. Oh, his name was Cillian Murphy, 50 years old, pale blue eyes that didn't blink much, a jaw set like he was always about to say something and deciding not to. His clothes told a story before he opened his mouth. Oh, work boots scuffed gray with concrete dust, a canvas jacket with a faded patch on the shoulder, jeans stiff at the knees. There was a smear of dry mortar on his forearm he hadn't bothered to wash off. Oh, because he'd come straight from the site. The check in his pocket had waited long enough. Oh, the lobby was built to make people feel like they didn't belong, and it worked on almost everyone. But Cillian crossed the floor with the slow, even walk of a man who had learned a long time ago that building is just a building, no matter how much marble you pour into it. He'd stood in rooms far grander than this one. Boardrooms where a single sentence from him moved millions. Nobody here would ever guess it. That was the whole point. Oh. The young teller behind the counter looked up with a practiced smile. His nameplate read Danny Cole. He was maybe 24, fresh out of school, still new enough that the job hadn't rubbed the kindness off him yet. Oh. His eyes flicked to the work jacket, then to the security guard by the door, then back. Oh, afternoon, Danny said. How can I help you today? Oh. Cillian reached into his jacket and laid a check flat on the counter. Oh, I'd like to deposit this into my account, please. Oh, Danny looked down, and his smile just came apart. Oh, the number staring back at him had 7 digits and a lot of zeros. $10 million. His hand shook a little as he picked it up, turning it over like it might dissolve if he stared too hard. Oh, the check was drawn on a real institution, issued by a legitimate holding company, made out to Cillian Murphy. Signed, dated. Everything about the paper was exactly right. Oh. And nothing about the man standing in front of him matched a single digit on it. Oh, one moment, sir, Danny said, and his voice cracked on the last word. I need to get my manager. Oh, Cillian nodded. He'd expected that. Oh. She arrived exactly 90 seconds later. Her heels struck the marble in that sharp, deliberate rhythm of someone who believes every step she takes matters. Vanessa Kroll, 39 years old. Blonde hair pulled back tight. Oh, a charcoal suit that fit her like it had been stitched onto her body, and a string of pearls at her throat. Real ones. Because Vanessa Kroll did not wear anything fake, and she was proud of that. Oh. The way some people are proud of things that don't matter. Oh. She'd run this branch for 4 years, and in those 4 years she'd developed what she called a skill. The ability to read a person the second they walked through the door. Shoes, posture, watch. Oh. The way they held their shoulders. She could tell you a stranger's net worth inside of 10 seconds, and she was almost never wrong. That instinct had carried her out of a small apartment in New Jersey and up into an office with her name on the door. It had never once failed her. Until today. Vanessa looked at Cillian. She saw the concrete dust, the scuffed boots, the mortar dried on his arm. She saw a man who by every signal she trusted had no business standing in her lobby. Let alone sliding a $10 million check across her counter. Then she looked at the check itself, and the corner of her lip curled, just slightly. Sir, she said, and that one word came out coated in the kind of patience you'd use on a child who'd wandered into the wrong room. May I ask where you got this? It's payment, Cillian said. His voice was low, and even, with the faint music of somewhere far from here underneath it. Cork, if you knew how to listen. For a property sale. Her eyebrow lifted. A property sale. That's right. And what is it you do for a living, sir? He held her eyes. I work construction. The words hung there in the cold air. Around them, the quiet murmur of the lobby had started to thin out. People were noticing now. A man in a three-piece suit lowered his newspaper. A woman near the window leaned toward her friend and whispered something behind her hand. Somewhere near the back, a phone came up, angled just so. Vanessa smiled, thin, rehearsed. It never reached her eyes. A construction worker, she said, with a $10 million check. That's right. I'm going to need 2 forms of identification. Cillian pulled a driver's license and a passport from his jacket and set them down without a word. She picked them up and studied them the way you'd study a counterfeit bill, tilting them toward the light. Comparing the photo to the face in front of her, everything matched. The name, the date of birth, the photograph. Everything was exactly what it should be. But Vanessa had already made up her mind about this man before he ever finished his sentence. I'm going to have to verify the source of these funds, she announced, and her voice rose. Louder than it needed to be. Loud enough that the whole lobby could hear it. This is standard procedure for a suspicious transaction. Cillian's face didn't move. Of course. The issuing bank's number is right there on the check. You're welcome to call it. But she didn't reach for that number. Instead, she picked up the phone and dialed an internal line. Security, I need you at the main counter. We've got a suspicious transaction in progress. The words dropped into the room like stones into still water. You could feel the ripple move out through it, whispered word by whispered word. The man with the newspaper set it down completely now. The woman by the window lifted her phone higher, and this time she didn't try to hide it. The guard came over. A big man, shaved head, forearms like fence posts. He stopped just behind Vanessa's shoulder, and his hand drifted to rest near the radio on his belt. Sir, Vanessa said, and now her voice carried the weight of someone who believed, deep down, that she was protecting something. I'm going to ask you to step aside while we look into this. I have the right to finish my transaction, Cillian said quietly. You have the right to be detained for attempted fraud if this check turns out to be fake. Then call the bank that issued it. I don't need to call anyone. And there it was, that edge in her voice. The sound certainty makes when it's decided it's right, when it's sure it's caught something. Sure it's the last wall standing between the bank and a criminal. I know what I'm looking at, and what I'm looking at is a man who lays bricks, trying to cash a check worth more than he'll make in 3 lifetimes. The lobby had gone silent now. Every eye was on that counter. Danny stood frozen behind the glass, pale as paper, mouth slightly open like he wanted to say something and couldn't find where it had gone. Cillian looked at her. He looked at the check in her hand. He looked at the guard, whose fingers had tightened around his radio, and he made a decision. I'd like to speak to your supervisor, he said. Vanessa laughed. A short, sharp sound with nothing warm in it. My supervisor is not going to help you. Nobody in this building is going to help you, because we don't help people who try to steal from us. And she held up that check. $10 million, printed on real paper from a real company, made out to a real man standing right in front of her. And she tore it in half. The sound of it ripping went across that silent marble lobby, like something breaking that couldn't be put back. And she wasn't finished. She tore the halves into quarters. Then she crumpled the pieces in her fist and threw them at his chest. Oh. The scraps of paper scattered down the front of his canvas jacket and settled on the floor around his dusty boots. Oh, get out, she said. Get out before I have you arrested. Oh. Cillian didn't move. Oh. He looked down at the torn pieces at his feet. He looked at Vanessa, her face flushed with something she mistook for righteousness. He looked at the guard, who had taken half a step forward. Oh. He looked at Danny, who had turned away, unable to meet his eyes. And he looked at the rest of them. The men in suits, the women with their handbags, all of them watching, some of them recording. Oh, not one of them saying a single word in his defense. Oh. Cillian bent down slowly and picked up 2 of the torn pieces. He held them in a hand rough with years of real work, looking at the fragments of the number printed there. Then he straightened up and he looked her dead in the eye. Oh, I'm not leaving, he said. Oh, her eyes narrowed. Then I'm calling the police. Oh. Call them. Oh, you think I won't? Oh, I think you should. His voice never rose, never wavered. And while you're at it, I think you should start figuring out how you're going to explain this. Not to the police, not to your boss, to yourself. Oh, how are you going to explain that you looked at a man, decided what he was worth by the dust on his boots, and destroyed his property in front of a room full of witnesses? Oh, her mouth opened to fire something back. Oh. And that's when the front door opened. Oh. A man walked in, older, silver hair combed back, a suit that cost more than most cars, worn like he'd forgotten he had it on. He moved with the quiet ease of a man who owned everything he could see. Oh, because he did. Harold Sterling, chairman of the board of Sterling and Wexford, here on an unannounced walkthrough of his own branch. Oh, Vanessa's whole face changed in an instant. The anger vanished, replaced by a bright professional shine. Oh. Mr. Sterling, what a pleasant surprise. Everything's running smoothly, as always. We actually just stopped what looked like a fraud attempt. Oh, but Harold Sterling wasn't looking at her. Oh, he was looking at the man in the work boots, the one with torn scraps of paper still clutched in his hand, and the color drained right out of his face. Oh. He walked past Vanessa like she wasn't there, past the guard, past the counter. He crossed the whole lobby until he was standing directly in front of Cillian Murphy. Oh, and then he said one word. Oh, sir. Oh, the room went absolutely still. Oh. Vanessa's smile froze on her face like something painted on. Mr. Sterling, I don't understand. This man. Oh, this man, Harold said, and his voice was tight, careful, like he was walking on ice that had just started to crack, is Cillian Murphy. He is the founder and chief executive of Murphy Holdings. And he is the single largest shareholder in this bank. Oh, silence pressed against the walls of that lobby like a physical thing. It swallowed every whisper, every breath. Vanessa Kroll stood frozen, her painted smile refusing to fall, the torn pieces of a $10 million check scattered on the marble between her and the man who owned more than a third of the building she was standing in. Well, that's not possible, she whispered. Her own voice sounded strange to her, thin, far away. Oh. Harold didn't so much as glance at her. His eyes stayed on Cillian, and on his face was something Vanessa had never seen there before. Fear. Oh, Mr. Murphy, he said slowly, I had no idea you'd be visiting us today. If I had known. Oh, you'd have what? Cillian's voice was almost gentle. Rolled out a carpet? Called ahead to warn your people? Oh. Harold's jaw tightened. I would have made sure you got the service you deserve. Oh. And what service does a man who lays brick deserve, Mr. Sterling? Oh. The question sat there in the air, and nobody had an answer for it. Around them, the customers had turned to statues, phones still raised, still recording. The guard had backed away 2 full steps. Oh, both hands now hanging carefully at his sides. Danny stayed behind the counter, white as fresh snow. Oh, Vanessa's mind was scrambling, grabbing at anything. Oh, Mr. Sterling, there's been a mistake. He came in dressed. He said he worked construction, and the check was for $10 million. Oh, the check, Harold said quietly, was real, wasn't it? Oh, I didn't verify it. Oh, you didn't verify it. Harold's voice dropped to something just above a whisper, and somehow that carried more weight than a shout ever could. You tore up a $10 million check drawn by our largest shareholder without picking up the phone. Oh, Vanessa opened her mouth. Nothing came out. For the first time in her career, she had absolutely nothing to say. Oh. Cillian bent down again, and picked up another piece of the torn check, turning it over in his fingers like a curious thing he'd found on the ground. "Oh, you know what I keep coming back to, Mr. Sterling," he said. "It isn't that she thought I was a thief. That's happened before. It'll happen again." He looked up, and those pale eyes held the chairman in place. "Oh, it's how sure she was. She never once stopped to think she might be wrong. Not for a second." "Oh." Harold turned on Vanessa with a look that promised the end of everything she'd built. "Mrs. Kroll, my office now." "Actually," Cillian said, "I'd like her to stay." "Oh." Both of them turned to him, wearing the same startled expression. "Oh, Mr. Murphy," Harold began, "I promise you we will handle this with the utmost." "Oh, I'm sure you will." Cillian's tone stayed easy, almost conversational. "I'm sure that inside the hour Miss Kroll is fired. I'm sure that by tomorrow morning this branch has drafted a formal apology. Oh, and I'm sure that within a week there's a settlement offer on my desk with enough zeros on it to make the whole thing disappear quietly." Oh, Harold's face confirmed every single word. "Oh, but here's my question." Cillian took a step toward Vanessa, and she flinched like she was bracing for a blow. "If I weren't Cillian Murphy, if I were exactly the man you thought I was, just a fella off a job, oh, sight with a real check in his pocket, what happens to me then?" Oh, her lips trembled. "I was following protocol." "Oh, what protocol tells you to rip up a customer's check before you've even called to check it?" "Oh, I made a judgment call." "Oh, based on what?" And for the first time his voice sharpened, just enough to cut. "Based on my boots, my jacket, the fact that I've got mortar on my arm instead of a gold watch on my wrist." He turned, oh, and nodded toward the woman by the window, who instantly dropped her phone and looked away. "If she had walked in here with the same check, in the same clothes she's wearing now, would you have torn it up?" Oh, Vanessa didn't answer. Oh, she didn't have to. Oh, Harold stepped forward, sliding himself between them. "Mr. Murphy, please. Let's take this upstairs. I have a conference room." "Oh, no." Oh, the word was quiet, but it was final. "Oh, no," Cillian said again. He looked around the lobby, the marble, the chandeliers, the well-dressed people who still wouldn't meet his eyes. "I've spent 3 years living quietly, Mr. Sterling. 3 years since I lost my wife. Oh, trying to understand something she said to me once, near the end. Oh." He turned the torn scrap of paper over in his fingers. "Oh, Ellen asked me, when she was sick, whether I knew how the world would treat me without the money, without the name. I told her it wouldn't matter. I told her that when you strip all that away, oh, people are good underneath." She looked at me like she felt sorry for me. His mouth pulled into something that wasn't quite a smile. Turns out she was right too. Oh, because he'd learned it slowly, over months, years, in 1,000 small moments he'd never asked for. The way a shop clerk would follow him down an aisle. The way a cab would slow, look at him, and drive on. Oh, the way a hostess would seat him by the kitchen door while a man in gym clothes got the window. He'd kept a quiet ledger of all of it in his head, each one a small stone added to a growing pile. Oh, but today was different. Today he had it on paper. Today he had witnesses. Today he had a choice. "Oh, Mr. Murphy," Harold said, and there was pleading in it now. "Whatever you want. Compensation, a public apology. Changes to our policies, we can discuss all of it. But surely you understand the value of keeping this discreet, for everyone." Oh. Cillian looked at him. He looked at Vanessa, whose mascara had begun to run in 2 dark lines down her cheeks. He looked at young Danny Cole behind the counter, his face a whole war of things he didn't know how to feel. Oh, and he remembered. Oh, 3 years back, in a hospital room that smelled of antiseptic and dying flowers, Ellen Murphy had held his hand with fingers gone too thin. 26 years of marriage, 2 kids. Oh, one company they'd built out of absolutely nothing, starting with a single truck and a set of tools he'd carried over on the boat from Cork. "Oh, you built something enormous," she'd said, her voice barely there. "We both did, but Cillian, I don't know if we ever really saw it. The world, I mean. The real one. Where people have to fight just to get treated like they're human." Oh, he'd told her she was being morbid. Told her they'd done plenty of good. Scholarships, housing projects, food banks, they'd given back. Oh, but she'd shaken her head, so slight he almost missed it. "Oh, that's not the same. That's helping from up on a hill, love. I'm talking about being down in it, knowing what it actually feels like." Oh, she was gone 3 weeks later. Oh, and afterward, once the lawyers had finished, and the long line of people who wanted something from the widower had finally thinned, Cillian Murphy made a decision. He handed the company's daily running to people he trusted. He sold the apartment on the Park. He rented 2 rooms in Queens, and he took a job on a construction crew run by a man named Pete Nowak, who didn't ask about his past and didn't care about his resume, who just needed someone who showed up and worked hard. For 3 years he'd lived about as invisible as a man can live in this city. And now here he was, standing in the lobby of a bank he half-owned, holding the pieces of a torn check, choosing between his privacy and something bigger. If I let you keep this quiet, Cillian said slowly, what actually changes? Harold blinked. I'm sorry? You fire Miss Kroll, you send me a check. Maybe somebody updates a training manual on a shelf somewhere. He shook his head. But what changes? 6 months from now, another man walks in here. Maybe he's got paint on his hands. Maybe he's still in scrubs from a double shift at the hospital. Maybe his check is for 10,000, not 10 million. What happens to him? Harold's silence was the whole answer. I don't want compensation, Cillian said. And I don't want anyone fired quietly in the dark, where nobody learns a thing. I want an investigation, a real one, not just of her, of this branch, this whole bank, the patterns. The policies, the unwritten rules that told her she could look at me and just know I didn't belong. Vanessa made a sound that might have been a sob. Please, I have a family, I have 2 kids. So did I, Cillian said quietly. So does the next man you'd have done this to, and the one after him. Harold Sterling's face had cycled through shock, fear, and calculation, and now it landed somewhere near resignation. He was a practical man. He'd built a career on knowing when to fight and when to fold. And looking at Cillian Murphy, he knew, all the way down, that this was not a fight he could win. An investigation, he repeated. Mr. Murphy, do you understand what that means? Media, legal exposure. The stock takes a hit. The board will do what I tell it to do. And there it was again. That quiet authority that reminded every soul in that room exactly who he was. I own 35% of this bank, Mr. Sterling. I've stayed a silent partner for 15 years, because that's how my wife and I liked it, and because I had no interest in the spotlight. He looked around the lobby one more time, but I'm not silent anymore. He turned to face the room, the frozen customers, the raised phones, the guard who now looked like he wanted the marble floor to open up and take him. Everything that happened here today is recorded, he said, to no one and to all of them. Videos taken, witnesses standing right here. So the question isn't whether this gets out. It will. The question is what kind of story it turns into. He looked back at Harold. You can make it the story of a bank that made an ugly mistake and tried to bury it. Or you can make it the story of a bank that made an ugly mistake and decided to do something real about it. That part's up to you. Harold stood very still for a long moment. Behind him, Vanessa had buried her face in her hands, her shoulders shaking, and then, for the first time, Danny Cole moved. He stepped out from behind the counter, his young face set with something that looked a lot like resolve. Mr. Murphy, he said, his voice cracking, I should have said something while it was happening. I knew it wasn't right, and I stood there. Cillian looked at him, really looked for the first time. What's your name, son? Danny Cole. Danny? Cillian nodded slowly. Do you know why you didn't say anything? Danny shook his head, misery all over him. Because you were afraid. Afraid of losing the job. Afraid of contradicting your boss. Afraid you might be wrong. He took a step closer and his voice softened. Those are human fears, Danny. Every one of them. But the next time you see something like this, and there will be a next time, I want you to remember exactly how you feel right now, and I want you to ask yourself which one's worse, the fear of speaking up, or the way this feels. Danny nodded and couldn't get a word out past whatever was in his throat. Harold cleared his. Mr. Murphy, if we do this, a real investigation like you say, I'll need your cooperation, your testimony, your willingness to be named, publicly. My privacy ended the second she tore up that check. Cillian glanced at Vanessa, who had lowered her hands and was staring at him with a face wiped clean of everything but devastation. I didn't want any of this. I was happy being no one, but some things matter more than being comfortable. He walked toward the door, his worn boots clicking softly against the marble that had been built to make men like him feel small. At the threshold, he stopped and looked back. "Oh, my lawyers will contact you in the morning," he said to Harold. "The investigation starts immediately." Then his eyes moved to the whole room one last time. "And the next time a man walks in here in work clothes, holding a check that looks too big for someone like him, I want your people to remember today. I want them to remember they have no idea who they're looking at. And I want them to treat him with respect anyway. Not because he might be rich, not because he might be powerful, because that's what a person is owed, just for being one." He pushed open the door and stepped out into the July afternoon, leaving behind a lobby full of people who would never forget what they'd seen. Inside, Harold Sterling turned to Vanessa Kroll, standing there amid the scattered pieces of a torn fortune. "Get your things," he said quietly, "and pray there's a career left to save when this is over." But even as he said it, he knew nothing was going to be the same again. Not for Vanessa, not for the bank, and not for the man in the work boots who had just walked out the door carrying a truth that could no longer be ignored. The video was online before Cillian ever got back to Queens. By that evening it had 2 million views. By the next morning, that number had quadrupled. The footage was shaky, shot on a dozen different phones from a dozen different angles, but the story it told was unmistakable. A man in a dusty work jacket standing calm and still while a bank manager ripped up his check and threw the pieces at his chest. The internet did what the internet does. Within 2 days, amateur detectives had found Vanessa Kroll's name, her work profile, her old social media, the town where she grew up. They spread every last detail across forums and comment sections with the kind of cruelty that always thinks it's justice. But then came the second wave. The revelation that turned a viral clip into a national conversation. The man in the video was not a construction worker, or he was. But he was also Cillian Murphy, founder of Murphy Holdings, a real estate and development company worth north of $4 billion. One of the richest men in the state. And he owned more than a third of the very bank that had just humiliated him. The story went off like a bomb. Morning show anchors argued about it over coffee. Columnists dissected it in the big papers, and the question echoing through every one of those conversations was the same one Cillian had asked in that marble lobby. If they do that to a billionaire, what on earth were they doing to everyone else? The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau announced an investigation within the week. Sterling and Wexford, staring down a public relations disaster, cooperated fully. And what the investigators found confirmed everything Cillian had suspected. Over the previous decade, customers at that branch who looked working class had been flagged for extra verification at nearly 4 times the rate of customers who arrived in suits with identical money in identical accounts. It wasn't one bad manager on one bad day. It was a pattern, written into thousands of transaction records. Men in coveralls, women in uniforms, people with dirt under their nails and calluses on their hands, all of them stopped. Questioned, doubted, delayed, and turned away, far more often than the people the bank had decided, at a glance, were worth trusting. It wasn't a single act of contempt. It was a machine quietly running for years. The public hearing took place on a gray Tuesday morning, 3 months after the incident. The room was packed with reporters, cameras, advocates. Cillian sat at the witness table in a plain dark suit. The first time in 3 years he'd dressed like the man he used to be. Vanessa Kroll sat at a separate table, boxed in by lawyers. She looked smaller than he remembered. Diminished, like the last 3 months had pressed her down into a lesser version of herself. The committee chair, a silver-haired congresswoman from Michigan, called the room to order and turned to Vanessa first. "Mrs. Kroll, can you explain to this committee the criteria you used to decide that Mr. Murphy's check was fraudulent?" Vanessa's voice was barely there. "I made an assessment based on the information available to me at the time." What information was that? His appearance, his stated occupation, the size of the transaction. Did you contact the issuing bank to verify the check? No. Did you run any standard verification procedure at all before you destroyed a customer's property? No. Miss Kroll. The congresswoman leaned in. If a man in a tailored suit had set down that exact same check, would you have torn it up? Oh. Her lawyers leaned in fast, whispering, urgent. But Vanessa lifted a hand and waved them off. And when she finally spoke, her voice cracked with something that sounded almost like relief. The relief of a person, at last, telling the truth. Oh, no, she said, I wouldn't have. Oh, the room broke into noise. Cameras snapped. The chair called for order. Oh. Harold Sterling testified next. He spoke of institutional failure, of training that had never happened, of bias that had been allowed to grow in the dark for years, unchecked. He announced that Sterling and Wexford would pay $50 million in fines and settlements, and he laid out a plan for reform, new hiring, mandatory training, an oversight board with people from the neighborhoods the bank served. Oh, but the moment everyone remembered came when Cillian took the microphone. Oh, people keep asking me why I did this, he said, his voice steady, carrying that same quiet weight it always had. Why I didn't just take a private check and walk away. Why I put myself through all this. Oh, the cameras, the attention, when I'd spent 3 years doing everything I could to disappear. Oh, he looked out at the room, the reporters scribbling, the lenses pointed at his face, carrying it out to millions. Vanessa Kroll sitting with her head bowed. Oh, the answer's simple. I did it because I could. Because I had the money, and the evidence, and the platform to make sure this got heard. Most people who go through what I went through don't have any of that. Oh, they get humiliated, and then they go home and nothing changes. Not for them, not for anyone. He paused. I wanted something to change. Oh. Then he turned and he looked at Vanessa directly. Oh, Miss Kroll, I don't hate you. I don't even fully blame you. You were running on rules the whole world taught you. Look at the boots, look at the hands. Oh, and decide what a person's worth before he opens his mouth. That system failed both of us. The only difference is that I had the power to fight back, and you never had the power to see me clearly. Oh, Vanessa looked up. Her eyes were red and hollow. Oh, I'm sorry, she whispered. I know that doesn't fix anything, but I'm sorry. Oh, Cillian nodded slowly. I believe you, and I hope, when all this is behind you, you use that sorrow to become someone different, not because you got caught, because you finally understand why it was wrong. Oh. The hearing ended with a set of recommendations that would go on to reshape banking rules for years. Sterling and Wexford became a case study, taught in business schools and training rooms all over the country. Oh, but the real reckoning played out in smaller, quieter ways. Oh, Vanessa Kroll was not fired the way Harold had first intended. At Cillian's own request, she was instead required to complete a full program on bias, and to spend 6 months working alongside community organizations that served the very people. Oh, she had once waved off with a glance. At the end of it, she resigned on her own. Oh, her resignation letter, which she later allowed to be published, ended with a single paragraph that got quoted in articles and textbooks for years afterward. Oh, I spent my whole career believing I could read a person accurately in 10 seconds. I was proud of it. I built everything I had on it, but I was wrong. Oh. I looked at Cillian Murphy, and I saw a man who didn't belong in my bank. It never once occurred to me that my bank didn't deserve him. I'm not resigning because I got caught. Oh, I'm resigning because I no longer trust my own judgment. And that is not a failure a training seminar can fix. It's one I'll carry and learn from every day for the rest of my life. Oh. Danny Cole, the young teller who'd frozen behind the counter, testified during the investigation. He confirmed that Vanessa had made no attempt to verify the check before destroying it. He described his own paralysis, his fear, his shame. Oh, and afterwards Cillian met with him, just the two of them. Oh, you spoke up when it counted, Cillian told him. That took some spine. Oh, Danny shook his head. It took you showing me what it looked like first. Oh, 18 months later, Danny Cole was named head of customer experience training for the entire bank, responsible for teaching every new hire how to treat a person with dignity, no matter what they walked in wearing. Oh. He kept a newspaper clipping framed on his desk. A photo from the day of the hearing, Cillian walking into the building in his plain dark suit. Underneath it, Danny had written one line by hand. Oh. You never know who you're looking at. Oh. The last scene of this story happened 6 months after the hearing, on an ordinary Thursday afternoon. Oh. Cillian Murphy walked into a small community bank in Queens, 3 blocks from his apartment. He was in his work clothes, having just come off a job with Pete's crew. Same scuffed boots, same dust on his jacket. Oh, he stepped up to the counter, where a young woman with a bright, easy smile was working the window. Oh, I'd like to deposit this, please, he said, and set down a check. Oh, she picked it up. It was for $412, his share of the week's wages. Oh, of course, sir, she said. She ran it through with quick, easy hands, then looked up and smiled at him like he was anybody, like he was everybody. Anything else I can help you with today? Oh, Cillian looked at her. This young woman who'd asked no questions about his clothes, who'd demanded no explanation for the dust on his jacket, who'd made no assumptions at all about who he was or what he deserved. No, he said softly. That's everything, thank you. Oh. He stepped back out onto the sidewalk and stood there a moment, letting the winter sun hit his face. The street moved around him with the ordinary rhythm of the city. Parents pushing strollers, kids laughing on a corner. Oh, an old man walking a slow dog. Nobody looked at him twice. Nobody knew his name. He was just a man in work clothes going about his day. Oh, and for the first time in a long time, that was exactly what he wanted to be. Oh, Ellen had asked him, all those years ago, whether he knew how the world would treat him without the money and the name. He'd spent 3 years finding out, and the answer been hard and sometimes cruel. Oh, and more than once it had broken his heart clean in two. Oh, but standing on that Queen's sidewalk, watching the ordinary world roll by, Cillian understood something else too. Oh, the world isn't fixed, it isn't set in stone, it can be pushed, challenged, changed. He'd proven that, not by being rich, not by being powerful, but by being willing to stand in a marble lobby and refuse to leave. Oh, respect, he understood now, should never be something you have to earn by showing your bank balance. It should be the floor, the starting point. The least one person owes another. Oh, it had cost him 3 years to learn that. Now, maybe, a few more people had learned it too. Oh. Cillian Murphy pulled his jacket a little tighter against the cold, and he walked home. Oh. Tomorrow he'd be back on the site with Pete's crew, laying brick beside men who would never know his story. Oh, and that was exactly how it should be. Oh, thank you for staying with this story all the way to the end. If it moved you, if it made you stop and think even for a second, that means everything. So before you go, remember this. Oh, you never know who you're looking at. So treat every single person like they might just change your life. Because one day, one of them will.